Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Local Living with the Reid Casey team. I'm your host, Reid Casey. This is Kathryn Williams. And today we're going to be walking you through the home buying process. Our goal is to make this process as easy as possible for you. It is one of the biggest investments you'll ever make as a buyer. And so that's what we're going to be chatting about today.
So I have a couple questions that I'm going to ask Reid today, and he's going to give us the best answers. So Reid, let's start talking about the home buying process. What is your recommendation for a buyer consultation, and what happens in that consultation?
Yeah, so the buyer consultation for us is really the first step in the home buying process. When we start working with a client, making sure that the expectations of what we're going to do on in the everyday kind of home searching for them, and to make sure what's important to them. It's very different sometimes. A husband may have a different kind of expectation of what he's in the house that he's looking for than a wife. And so understanding what's important to both parties and make sure we can bring that together really is defined at the buyer consultation. We also talk about things like pre-qualification. Are they paying cash? Expectations of what the market is doing so that we know how to present an offer when the right house is discovered. So that buyer consultation is super important. I would budget about 45 minutes. And one of the other things that we'll talk about in that consultation, Kathryn, is all the expected cost that somebody will incur so there are no surprises when we...
What we really want to also hone in on is the communication between the buyer and the agent. And something we've talked about is a scouting report.
Yes.
So why don't you share what that is and how it could really set up not only communication, but organization for our buyers?
Well, I think you actually coined the phrase scouting report, which I sort of grabbed it. You said it one time. I said, oh, that's so good. Because it's true. In the communication between an agent and their clients, and what we try to do for all of our clients, is give them an up-to-date on what we're doing to help find them out. A lot of times we find our clients off-market properties, and we have our ways to do that. We want to make sure that they know that we're working hard for them, as well as scavenging the MLS and making sure that we're paying attention to everything that pops on. Our scouting report really does detail out what we're doing on their behalf to go find them a house. And I think you should get that probably once a week at least. We like to send ours out on Tuesdays after the weekend new inventory kind of goes off the market. What we're going to do the rest of that week to go find our buyers. Oops.
So you mentioned off-market properties. Let's talk about how do we find off-market properties?
Yeah, so that starts with our agent network. We work with some of the best brokers, best agents in the area, agents that sell a lot of houses just like we do, making sure that we know what inventory they have coming up, making sure that they know what buyers we have. They're looking in the marketplace so that they can be on the hunt or have their ear out for anything that may fit a need of a buyer that we have. It also Facebook groups are fantastic. So agent Facebook groups, making sure that we're monitoring all of our social media platforms for any off-market properties. We send out mailers to neighborhoods specifically that our buyers are interested in buying in. We will even door knock in those neighborhoods or even ask our buyers sometimes to maybe point out some houses that they've been interested in, and we'll go approach those sellers and see if they're willing to sell. So there's a lot of things that we can do. It really does help if the buyers are more specific about their needs and do that buyer consultation up front and make sure that we understand exactly what they're hoping to find.
Great. And the next step in that process is, how do you get pre-qualified?
Easy peasy. We work with some of the area's best lenders, and it's super important that the lender that we decide to partner with or the buyer decides to use is somebody that's knowledgeable, obviously provides great service. But I tell you, the lenders that we recommend, they are excellent at what they do, but one of the services that they provide is to make sure that when we submit an offer on a house, especially if it's an environment that maybe a seller received multiple offers and the listing agent is trying to muddle through and see who's the most qualified, our lenders will call that listing agent and give them the confidence that our buyer's already been well pre-approved, can get to the closing table. There aren't going to be any issues, that they're well vetted on the qualification status of their loan. And so that's probably the best advice I can give somebody.
Well, so let's talk about how to avoid buyer fatigue, going through all the showings and the open houses.
Well, searching for homes can be exhausting. Showing 6, 7, 8 houses a day, you almost forget which houses you've been in. Even I'll forget sometimes, but as a buyer, it's important to rake houses as you go through them, just so you can weed out the houses that maybe didn't rake as high and go back to the houses that did. So we ask for a 1 to 10 scale system. So 10 houses are absolutely perfect. Let's go buy it right now. It's rare that any house hits a 10 because, as we know, there's very few perfect houses. But even those 9s, if we go through a house and we say, oh my gosh, this is a 9, then all the other houses really don't matter. We could focus on that one. So we just, we believe that that's a good system to use, and we've done it for a long time.
So the exciting part, making the offer. What is the strategy that you would recommend for our buyers?
Making an offer really comes back to what's important to the seller. If we can understand what's important to a seller and what their motivation is, and it may not always be to get the highest price. There could be a seller that's on a specific time frame, and maybe they need a few more months in the house or another month after closing in a house. That's just really important because they need to take the money that they gained from the sale and go find a different house. And my buyer is super flexible on that. And that's really important. We can use that and leverage to get a better price. So really understanding the seller's motivation is what we find is key. And then knowing how to structure a deal. So it best protects our buyers and also helps them get what they want.
Well, speaking of protecting our buyers, how do we close the deal and make sure it's a smooth process?
That is all about the team that we're working with. So our lender team, sometimes it depends on the cooperating agent that we're working with, and it's something that we can't always control. But, we hope that we're working in an environment with another great cooperating agent that represents the other side. But it really is the lending team, closing attorney, inspections, to if we need contractors to go through the house quickly to give us estimates to make sure that the buyers aren't getting themselves underwater and any repairs or anything that the buyer needs to know. The team is how we're going to get there, especially when we're on tight time frames for due diligence and get us to closing so that the buyers really have all the information they need to purchase.
Well, thank you, Reid.
Yeah, I hope that was helpful. I hope this episode gave you a clear picture of what to expect when buying a home. And remember to subscribe to Local Living with Reid Casey Real Estate. Our podcast is available on all platforms. And if you're watching on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest content. We'll see you next time.